The title's pretty provocative, and there's a good reason for that. I want to talk about the death of the modern film school. Yeah. It's become a pretty popular opinion in the online video community that film school is pretty much useless. The problem, in my opinion, with the modern film school is they have this archaic approach to things, and they tack on value in places where sometimes there just isn't any. A great example is that I was told by going to film school I'd make a bunch of contacts in the industry, and they would help me start up my career or something. In actual fact, what happened is I got one small interning thing, and that was only because the business was actually affiliated with the university. And because I screwed up so much during that 1 week internship, I actually learned a lot of good stuff. Arguably more so than the 3 years I spent at film school. If these institutions were free, and they just gave out this information similarly to the way YouTube creators do, I wouldn't have so much of a problem with them. What bothers me is the fact that you spend hundreds of thousands of rands, or tens of thousands of dollars, over the course of usually around 3 years. That's time you could spend creating stuff instead, learning something that may or may not benefit you. Usually what they teach you is how to get into the business of film, which that's not what the creators are there for. Sure, some people are born to be producers, and that's fine, but they should go to a school where they teach that. And the market is saturated because film school is expensive and therefore lucrative. And when the market is saturated, what you get is a lot of poor quality products for, just far too much money. It really makes a lot more sense to just spend that money on filmmaking gear, do some research, buy the gear, get it insured, and then go and make something. You'll learn on the fly, you'll learn a lot faster, actually, and you'll learn from mistakes, which, as we've seen from so many things, is so much more tangible and so much more visceral. On top of that, you'll have something to show for the time you spent. I have so many projects from film school that I haven't seen since, and quite frankly don't want to see, because they were some random brief that was supposed to execute one particular odd archaic skill that I have no use for. There seems to be an academic aspect to it, where not acknowledging how big of a platform things like YouTube and Vimeo are for budding filmmakers, because it's some website that just hosts videos of cats and stuff. But that's incredibly short-sighted, and the people who can't look forward are the ones who get left behind. What's happening now is that these institutions are getting left behind and don't know how to deal with it, so they double down on their entitled sense of superiority. And what that's causing is a bunch of people with student loans who can't quite make a film. The problem is, it's irresponsible to tell young people who want to make movies that they need to go to film school because that's where they'll learn all the important stuff. Aside from the fact that that's just simply not true, you're putting a lot of financial pressure on kids and often parents, sometimes a kid's bank account, to learn something that they might not even use. A good example is that I was taught a lot about producing films, but I'm not a producer, I'm predominantly an editor. And yes, some people don't know what role they want to fall into. But in a situation like that, you give them a blanket education over all of the subsets of filmmaking over the course of, say, a year, and then once they've decided this is what I want to do, you put them in a class where they learn how to do that thing and all the practices involved. Trying to make a jack-of-all-trades filmmaker in the space of less than 3 years is going to result almost all the time in someone who's mediocre at everything and maybe good at one or two things. My PSA to all film schools: drop your agenda, drop your sense of superiority, and embrace the fact that people are learning important stuff online for free. It shouldn't be about how prestigious your school is, or what a big name it has, or what connections you can get. It should be about how well you are prepared to go out there and make something amazing. That is the whole point. And I think quite often that gets lost, and that's tragic. I'm going to cut this one short here because otherwise I'm going to get into all kinds of problems with specific film schools, which is not fair to others who are doing a totally different thing, either right or wrong. I wouldn't know. I can only speak with anecdotal evidence. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. And I'll see you tomorrow.